The first thing he felt was fire, not warmth, not pain. Fire. It crawled through every fragment of his body, chewing him apart from the inside. He had no bones, no blood, no lungs to scream with. Only a trembling sphere of translucent flesh, trapped beneath the iron heel of a laughing knight. Look at it. The knight pressed harder. The tiny slime flattened against the black stone floor. Its body spread like spilled jelly. The surrounding adventurers roared with laughter. This thing survived the lower nest? Survived? A woman in crimson armor sneered. It hid under corpses. Her boots scraped through dried blood. Around them, the dungeon chamber looked like a slaughterhouse. Broken shields, severed limbs, crushed helmets. The stench of burned flesh clung to the walls. The expedition had entered with pride. They had expected treasure. They had found a massacre. Only the weak slime remained alive. Now even that offended them. The knight twisted his heel. The slime's body ruptured. A piece of its flesh splashed across the floor. Agony exploded through him. Yet beneath the agony, something else stirred. It's a memory. A woman's voice, soft. It's false. Trust me, a blade entering his back. A brother's smile. Cold, greedy, you were always too soft. Hands pushed him from the city wall. Below, the abyss opened like a mouth. His ribs shattered on the rocks. Monsters tore into him before death could claim him. He remembered their teeth. He remembered his own screams. He remembered looking upward and seeing his family watching. His father turned away. His mother covered her face. His fiancée leaned against his younger brother's shoulder. None of them tried to save him. They only waited for him to stop moving. Then darkness. Then this, a slime, the weakest creature in the world. A lump of meat without rank, without claws, without dignity. A creature children killed for amusement. The knight lifted his boot. The slime's broken body slowly pulled itself together. The adventurers laughed harder. It still wants to live. Pathetic. Kill it already. The woman in crimson armor crouched. Her face was beautiful. Her eyes were not. She drew a dagger and pierced the slime's center. The blade sank through him. His mind went white. He remembered another blade, the same angle. Same smile. For one impossible instant, the woman's face became his fiancé's face. The dungeon vanished. City wall returned. Rain poured across stone. His blood ran between the cracks. His brother whispered into his ear, "Everything you own belongs to me now." The memory ended. The dagger remained. The woman leaned closer. Ugly little thing. The slime stared back. He had no eyes. Still, she felt him staring. Her smile faltered only slightly. Then a voice sounded inside his mind, cold, ancient, merciless. Evolution conditions detected. Soul anomaly confirmed. His previous life resentment confirmed. Predatory will confirmed. Hidden lineage awakened. The pain stopped. Not because the dagger had been removed. Not because his wounds had healed. The pain stopped because something inside him had become larger than pain. A dark pressure unfurled through his tiny body. The dungeon trembled. The dust fell from the ceiling. The torches bent inward. Every flame pointed toward the slime. The adventurers fell silent. The woman frowned. What was that? The knight looked around. The dungeon shift? No. The priest at the rear tightened his grip on his staff. His face had gone pale. Something is watching us. The slime heard another voice. Evolution system activated. Current species recognized. Lessermeyer slime. Threat rank negligible. Potential rank immeasurable. Available traits detected. Acid resistance, corpse absorption, mana digestion. Soul devouring, dragon origin fragment. The final word struck like thunder. Dragon, not lizard, not serpent. Dragon, a creature before which kingdoms knelt. A creature whose breath turned armies into shadows. A creature whose name alone made emperors seal their palace gates. The slime remained motionless. The dagger still pinned him to the floor. The woman looked down. Her arrogance returned. False alarm. She twisted the blade. His body split again. The system responded. Damage recorded. Pain resistance acquired. Foreign metal analyzed. Iron affinity acquired. Hostile intent absorbed. Predator sense acquired. The slime felt the changes immediately. The iron dagger was no longer simply a weapon inside him. He could taste it. The metal carried traces of blood. See monster blood, human blood poison. Grease, fear. He sensed the woman's pulse through the handle. Fast. She was afraid. She did not know why. She did. Predators often sensed the moment prey stopped being prey. The knight kicked the slime again. Enough playing. The woman stood. Burn it. The mage raised one hand. A circle of flame appeared above his palm. Slime watched, calmly. He had died once because he trusted. He would not make that mistake again. He had begged once. He would never beg again. He had revealed weakness to people who called themselves family. Now weakness would become his mask. Let them laugh. Let them spit. Let them place their boots on him. Every insult would be remembered. Every hand would be marked. Every debt would be collected. The mage released the flame. Fire swallowed the slime. The chamber filled with orange light. The adventurers turned away from the heat. The knight laughed. That should do it. Inside the flames, the slime's flesh boiled. His surface blackened. His body collapsed inward. The smell was foul. The pain was beyond language. System continued. Fire damage recorded. Heat resistance acquired. Heat resistance improved. Heat resistance evolved. Flame digestion unlocked. The slime opened himself. The fire entered, not across his surface. Into him, he drank it. The flames bent downward. The mage's smile vanished. What? The fire vanished into the slime's body. Every spark. Every thread of heat gone, the chamber became cold. The Tiny creature remained scorched and half-melted, pathetic, broken. Weak, yet deep within its body a red core pulsed once. Twice, the slime felt power spread through him, warm, sharp, hungry, energy threshold reached. Evolution available, he did not evolve, not yet. System offered him choices: ember slime, iron slime, corpse slime, venom slime, abyss slime. Each path shimmered within his mind. Each promised strength, each promised survival. He rejected them all. The ancient voice paused. Host refuses available evolution. Reason requested. His answer carried no emotion, too small. System became silent. Then another message appeared. Hidden evolution conditions acknowledged. Dragon origin path remained sealed. Required essence unavailable. The slime looked beyond the adventurers. At the center of the chamber stood a ruined altar. Behind it lay the skeleton of a monstrous beast. Its skull alone was larger than a carriage. Curved horns pierced the rubble. Black scales clung to dead bone. A cracked spear rested between its ribs. The adventurers had not noticed the faint golden mist leaking from the skeleton. The slime had. Predator's sense showed him threads of energy floating through the chamber. The adventurers glowed with weak colors. Red for anger, gray for fear. Blue for mana. The skeleton burned like a buried sun. Dragon remains detected. The ancient blood residue confirmed. Divine marrow fragment confirmed. Evolution requirement located. The slime's thoughts became still. He understood. The dungeon had not spared him by chance. His rebirth had not been random. Something had placed a dragon's corpse beside the weakest creature alive. Perhaps fate. Perhaps a god. Perhaps the system itself. It did not matter. He trusted none of them. He would use them. The woman in crimson armor stepped back from the scorched slime. That thing absorbed the spells, the priest whispered. We should leave. The knight scoffed. Because of a slime, the mage's face tightened. That was not normal. The slime trembled. Deliberately, he made his body shrink. He leaked a thin trail of fluid. He looked wounded, terrified. Dying, the knight's confidence returned. There. Look at it. He spat on the floor. It is finished. The woman glanced toward the dragon skeleton, then toward the dark corridor beyond. Their expedition had lost most of its members. Their supplies were low. Their healer was injured. Greed still outweighed caution. It always did. The altar first, she said. There may be a relic. The adventurers moved away from the slime, exactly as he expected. They approached the dragon remains. The priest muttered prayers. The mage inspected the altar. The knight shoved bones aside with his boot. The woman reached for the cracked spear. The slime stayed still. He waited. One breath, another. Then he began to crawl. Slowly, weakly, his body dragged across the floor. The woman looked back once. He collapsed. She sneered and turned away. The moment her gaze left him, his movement changed. Silent. Precise, fast. He slid into a crack beneath the rubble. Darkness covered him. Predator sense spread through the stone. He felt every footstep. Every heartbeat, every drop of sweat. He moved beneath the altar, toward the dragon's spine. The closer he came, the heavier the pressure became. The corpse was dead. Its will was not. A roar entered his mind. Mountains shattered. Clouds burned. Armies drowned in flame. He saw a black dragon chained beneath a golden sky. Spears pierced its wings. Divine soldiers carved symbols into its bones. Still the dragon laughed. Its blood became rivers. Its breath became storms. Its final curse poisoned the land. The vision struck the slime like a hammer. His body nearly burst. The system reacted. The ancient dragon will encountered. Soul collapse imminent. Defensive evolution recommended. He refused. The pressure intensified. The dead dragon's hatred poured into him. It hated gods. It hated kings. It hated chains. The slime understood that hatred. He did not resist it. He welcomed it. Their rage touched. For a moment, the weak creature and the dead god beast became the same. Betrayed. He broken, discarded, unforgiving. The dragon's will stopped crushing him. It watched him. Then it laughed. The sound rolled through his soul. Not kind, not warm. Approving. The dragon's skull cracked. The adventurers screamed. A shard of black bone fell from the ceiling of the ribcage. The knight jumped back. What happened? The priest dropped his staff. Something awakened. Beneath the altar, the slime reached the exposed marrow. He spread his body over it. The essence entered him. It was not liquid. It was fire-given memory. It tore through his body. His translucent flesh turned black. Golden veins appeared across his surface. The red core inside him cracked open. Smaller core emerged from within, dense, dark. Seeding, dragon essence absorbed, divine marrow consumed. Ancient bloodline accepted, hidden evolution unlocked. The system's voice changed. It no longer sounded cold. It sounded vast. First forbidden evolution available. Abyssal dragon slime. The slime accepted. His body folded inward. Every fragment compressed around the new core. The world narrowed. Sound vanished. Light vanished. Pain returned, worse than before. His soul was pulled apart, thread by thread. Human memory collided with monster instinct. The desire for revenge collided with endless hunger. The faces appeared: his father, his mother, his brother, his fiancée, the knight. The woman in crimson armor. Each face became food. Each insult became fuel. His tiny body swelled beneath the rubble. Claws almost formed, then disappeared. Scales surfaced, then melted. A horn pushed outward, then dissolved. The evolution was incomplete. The dragon essence was immense. His vessel was too weak. The system forced the power down, sealed it. Layer after layer, until the overwhelming presence vanished. When the process ended, he looked almost unchanged. Still small, still soft, still harmless. Only one detail had changed. At the center of his body, where no one could see, a black dragon pupil opened. Evolution complete. Species changed. Abyssal dragon slime, new traits acquired. Dragon pressure, bloodline devouring, adaptive evolution. False weakness, abyss storage, ruin flame. Growth restriction removed. The slime felt the entire dungeon, not merely the chamber. Every tunnel, every nest, every hidden monster. He felt the wounded adventurers like candles in a crypt. Fragile, flickering. Easy to extinguish. He could kill them now. The realization came without excitement. The knight's armor had gaps. The mage's mana core was exhausted. The priest's faith barrier was cracked. The woman's dagger still carried a piece of his flesh. Through it, he could release acid into her blood. He could watch her veins turn black. He could listen as she begged. He could consume them all. He did nothing. A quick death was mercy. Mercy had died on the city wall with his human body. The adventurers gathered around the cracked skull. Panic spread among them. The priest urged retreat. The knight cursed him. The woman seized the broken spear. The instant her fingers touched it, black mist entered her skin. She smiled. I found it. The slime watched from the shadows. The system analyzed the relic. Cursed dragon spear fragment. Bearer will suffer gradual soul corrosion. Madness onset inevitable. Flesh mutation inevitable. Death probability absolute. The slime's inner eye narrowed. How generous. He had not even needed to prepare the poison. She had lifted the cup herself. The woman wrapped the spear fragment in cloth. We are leaving. The others obeyed. They passed the slime on their way out. The knight stopped. He looked down at the tiny creature. For a moment their gazes met. The knight saw only a weak slime. The slime saw a corpse that had not yet learned it was dead. The knight raised his boot, then lowered it. Not worth the effort. He walked away. The slime remained still until their footsteps faded. And his body rose. The scorched surface peeled away. Beneath it his flesh shone like black glass. The thin line curved across his body. It resembled a smile, cold, so patient. He remembered the rain on the city wall. He remembered his brother's voice. Everything you own belongs to me now. The slime turned toward the dungeon depths. Thousands of monsters waited below. Thousands of traits, thousands of evolutions. Beyond the dungeon stood kingdoms. Churches, noble houses, the family that had betrayed him. The woman who had kissed him before placing the blade in his back. They believed he was dead. That belief was precious. He would protect it. He would grow in silence. He would let them celebrate. Let them divide his inheritance. Let them wear his name like stolen silk. Let them build towers above the grave they had given him. Then when their joy had ripened into arrogance, he would return, not as a man, not as a victim, not as a ghost seeking justice. Justice was a word weak people used when they lacked power. He wanted no justice. He wanted ownership of their fear, of their pain. Of the final moment when they understood that every step they had taken since his death had led them into his mouth. The slime moved toward the darkness. A pack of bone wolves waited in the next tunnel. Their eyes glowed green. Their fangs dripped venom. They growled at the tiny creature approaching them. The slime did not slow. The black pupil inside his core opened wider. Dragon pressure leaked out. The wolves froze. Their legs buckled. Their bodies slammed against the ground. The tunnel filled with whimpering. The weakest creature in the world crawled among them. His smile deepened. And the darkness began to scream. The bone wolves did not attack. They crawled. Their claws scraped uselessly against the stone as their bodies pressed flat beneath an invisible weight. The smallest among them whimpered. The largest tried to raise its head. Its neck snapped. The slime moved forward slowly. Without urgency, the wolves smelled death around him. Not the stale death of corpses. Not the wild death of beasts. This was older, colder. A death that waited behind thrones. A death that watched kings grow fat before opening its jaws. The pack leader forced itself upright. Its green eyes burned with hatred. It lunged. The slime did not dodge. Fangs pierced his body. Venom flooded his flesh. The wolf shook him violently. System spoke. Venom analyzed. Paralytic toxin absorbed. Bone wolf bloodline detected. Predatory muscle trait available. Night vision available. Pack command available. The slime spread through the wolf's mouth. Black flesh covered its tongue. Slid down its throat, entered its lungs. The beast froze. Its body expanded, then collapsed inward. Bones cracked beneath fur. Its green eyes widened. The slime consumed everything. Blood. Marrow. Venom gland. Heart. Memory. Hunger. When he withdrew, only a hollow skin remained. The other wolves stared. Their terror thick in the air. The system offered another evolution. He refused again. Evolution was not the same as strength. A fool chased every shining path. The ruler chose which doors remained closed. He approached the next wolf. It did not resist. None of them did. Soon the tunnel became silent. The slime's body remained small. His weight did not. Inside his abyss storage, bones floated in darkness. Venom gathered in black pools. Muscle fibers twisted around captured mana. He had eaten an entire pack and looked no larger than before. False weakness concealed everything. Good, he continued downward. The dungeon tested him with hunger. He answered by eating. It tested him with poison. He answered by adapting. It tested him with darkness. He answered by seeing through stone. Giant centipedes poured from cracks. He dissolved their shells. Corpse moths released clouds of rot. He swallowed the plague. The blind ogre swung a stone pillar through the tunnel. He entered through its ear and devoured its brain before the weapon struck the ground. Each kill became a trait. Each trait became material. Each material entered the abyss. He did not sleep. He did not rest. He did not celebrate. Power was not a miracle. Power was inventory. Power was preparation. Power was making certain that when betrayal returned, it found no weakness left to cut. Far above, the adventurers staggered toward the dungeon exit. The woman in crimson armor carried the broken dragon spear against her chest. Its curse had already entered her dreams. She heard whispers inside the metal. They praised her, chosen one. Dragon heir, future queen. The more she listened, the straighter she walked. The priest watched black veins spread beneath her wrist. Captain, she glanced back. What? You should put the relic down. Her smile vanished. You want it? No. You think I am too weak to carry it. The weapon is cursed. The knight laughed. You priests call everything cursed when you cannot claim it for your temple. The mage nodded eagerly. She found it. It belongs to her. The priest looked at them. Fear chilled his stomach. Their eyes were wrong. Too bright, too hungry. The relic was not corrupting only its bearer. It was feeding on envy. The woman tightened her grip. When we return, the guild will kneel. The knight imagined titles. The mage imagined gold. The wounded healer imagined noble patrons. None of them remembered the weak slime. None of them understood that it had allowed them to leave. Below, the slime reached a cavern filled with blue crystals. Mana pulsed through the walls. In the center slept a stone-backed serpent. Its body circled an underground lake. Its breath made waves tremble. System identified it. Dungeon Guardian, Crystal Basilisk. Mana core highly concentrated. Petrifying gaze active. Territorial aggression extreme. The slime observed it from a crack. A direct attack was possible. Wasteful. The basilisk's scales could reflect magic. Its blood could harden flesh. Its eyes could petrify weaker souls. Damaging the body would lower the quality of absorption. He waited. A cluster of corpse moths drifted into the cavern behind him. He had spared them deliberately. The insects followed the scent of stolen rot in his body. He released it. The moths surged past him. The basilisk opened its eyes. Blue light filled the cavern. The swarm turned to stone. Dozens of hardened bodies as rained into the lake. The basilisk hissed. His gaze dimmed. The ability required recovery. The slime moved. He crossed the ceiling as a thin black stain. The guardian sensed him too late. Its tail smashed upward. Stone exploded. The slime divided. The blow passed through empty fragments. Each fragment landed on a different crystal. He absorbed their mana at once. The cavern darkened. The basilisk roared. It opened its jaws. The slime released the bone wolf's venom into the air. The guardian inhaled. Its throat convulsed. Its muscles locked. Heavy body crashed into the lake, still alive, still conscious. Unable to move, the slime descended onto its eye. The basilisk watched him spread across the surface. Humiliation entered its mind before pain. A creature smaller than its pupil had defeated it without suffering a wound. The slime pierced through the eye. He entered the skull. The guardian's roar became a bubbling choke, then silence. The feast lasted a long time. He consumed slowly, carefully. He stripped the body layer by layer. Scale reflection, stone blood. The crystal marrow, mana compression, petrifying sight. The guardian authority. When he finished, the underground lake had turned black. His core pulsed with enough energy to crack the cavern. The system issued repeated warnings. Stored power exceeds vessel safety. Forced evolution recommended. Core rupture approaching. He ignored it. He compressed the mana. Again, once. Again. The first compression felt like crushing a furnace into a seed. The next felt like burying the seed beneath a mountain. The next made his entire body vanish for an instant. When he reappeared, he was smaller, darker, denser. A faint scale pattern shimmered beneath his surface. Mana compression trait improved. Abyss core stabilized. Through flame strengthened. Dragon origin seal weakened. He examined the basilisk's memories. The guardian knew the dungeon, its hidden paths, its feeding chambers. Ancient locks, its master. Deep below, something slept behind a gate of dragon bone. Something that had consumed every guardian sent against it. Something that even the dead dragon had feared. The slime felt no excitement. Only interest. The stronger the meal, the more useful the digestion. Before descending further, he turned toward another passage. It led upward, toward the guild city. He had no intention of revealing himself. But information was food, and he was hungry. He divided a thread of his body from the whole. The fragment became pale, weak, ordinary. A lesser slime in every visible way. He placed a shard of his awareness inside it. The fragment crawled upward while his true body continued deeper. Two paths. One path hunted power. The other watched prey. By the time the adventurers reached the city, the broken spear had changed them. The woman walked through the gates like a conqueror. The knight shouted at guards who did not bow quickly enough. The mage spoke of royal rewards. The priest said nothing. Black veins had reached the woman's elbow. She hid them beneath cloth. At the guild hall, a crowd gathered around their table. The woman placed the wrapped relic before the guildmaster. Every eye fixed upon it, she told the story. Not the true story. She claimed they had slain the dragon remnant. She claimed the relic had chosen her. She claimed the dead expedition members had sacrificed themselves under her command. The knight praised her courage. The mage described imaginary battles. The healer cried on command. The crowd erupted. Cheers. To envy, worship. The priest stood at the edge of the hall. His lips trembled. He knew what had happened. They had run. They had stolen from a corpse. They had abandoned their comrades. They had tried to burn a harmless slime for amusement. Yet now the survivors were heroes. The woman lifted the spear fragment. Black mist entered the rafters. No one noticed. The pale slime fragment watched from beneath a broken barrel outside the hall. Through gaps in the wood, he saw everything. He listened to their lies. He remembered their laughter. The woman announced that the relic would be presented to the Duke. The Duke controlled the city. The Duke also served a greater noble house, a house the slime remembered from his previous life. His own family had once begged that house for favor. His brother had gained their protection after his death. Interesting. The threads were already joining. He did not need to chase his enemies. Greed was carrying them toward him. At night, the woman dreamed of a throne built from dragon skulls. The relic whispered that only cowards shared power. She woke and found the knight searching her bag. He claimed he had heard a noise. She believed nothing. The next day, the healer disappeared. They found her body in an alley. Her throat had been cut. The knight accused thieves. The mage accused the priest. The woman accused no one. She merely smiled. The curse fed well. The slime watched. He could have accelerated their collapse. He did not. Poison became sweeter when victims believed they were drinking wine. Below the city, his true body entered a nest of armored worms. He allowed them to swallow him. Inside their stomachs, he released ruin flame. Their bodies became sealed furnaces. He consumed them from within. He entered a chamber of red moss that copied living flesh. He let it copy him. The moss created hundreds of weak slimes. Each carried a fraction of dragon hunger. He devoured the copies and gained replication. He crossed a river of liquid mana. He drank until the riverbed cracked. He found a colony of shadow bats. He stole their silence. He found a nest of mimic spiders. He stole their disguise. He found a dead necromancer chained to a wall. He ate the chains first, then the corpse. Soul residue entered him. 1,000 stolen voices screamed inside his core. He crushed them together. From their memories, he learned human spells: binding, storage, illusion, blood tracking, corpse control. The system warned him that incompatible traits could cause madness. He sorted them, discarded weakness, kept function. Madness was merely disorder. He had no disorder. Every hatred had a place. Every memory had a purpose. Every future death had already been assigned. Just passed above. No one noticed the lesser slime near the guild hall. Children poked it with sticks. Drunks kicked it into gutters. Merchants threw waste onto it. The fragment endured everything. Each insult became information. It learned schedules, names, bribes, secret passages. It listened beneath tables. The Duke's agents planned to seize the relic. The guildmaster planned to sell a copy. The church planned to arrest the woman for forbidden corruption. The woman planned to kill them all before they moved. Everyone smiled in public. Everyone sharpened knives in private. The slime approved. Humans did not need monsters to destroy them. They only needed permission. Deep below, he reached the Dragonbone Gate. It towered above him. Ancient ribs had been fused into an arch. Golden chains crossed the entrance. Each link carried divine symbols. Behind the gate, something breathed. The sound shook dust from the ceiling. The system spoke with unusual caution. Catastrophic entity detected. Current victory probability uncertain. Retreat recommended. The slime approached the chains. A vast eye opened beyond the gate. Red light flooded the darkness. A voice entered his mind. Little worm, the slime stopped. The creature laughed. It had expected fear. It tasted none. What are you? The slime spread slightly across the floor, weak, harmless. It was cute. The eye narrowed. The creature inhaled. Then its laughter died. It smelled dragon blood, not borrowed blood. Not diluted blood, a growing origin. The chains trembled. The creature pressed closer. A face emerged from darkness, part lion, part serpent, part corpse. Its mouth carried rows of human teeth. It had fed on adventurers for centuries. It had eaten heroes, priests, kings. It wore their faces beneath its skin. The creatures whispered. Free me. The slime said nothing. I know what you desire. Silence. Power. Silence. Revenge. The slime's black pupil opened within his core. The creature smiled. Free me, and I will give you kingdoms. The slime finally answered. You misunderstand. The golden chains began to dim. The mana within them flowed toward his body. The creature's smile widened. Yes, break them. The slime consumed more. Symbols vanished one after another. The gate groaned. The prisoner pushed forward eagerly. Almost free, almost victorious. The final chain cracked. The creature roared in triumph. Its claws burst through the gate. The slime waited beneath them. Tiny still, smiling. The creature saw that smile. Too late. The slime released every petrifying fragment stolen from the basilisk. Stone raced across the creature's claws. He released the armored worm's furnace heat. Fire filled its veins. He released bone wolf venom into its exposed flesh. Its muscles seized. He released the necromancer's binding spells through the broken divine chains. The chains reversed. They wrapped around the prisoner, not to seal it inside, to drag it apart. The creature screamed. The dungeon shook. The slime watched without blinking. He had not freed it. He had opened the container. The prisoner understood. Horror replaced rage. You planned this. Slime rose like black smoke. For the first time, his body formed the outline of a horned head. Not fully dragon. Not yet, but enough, the creature thrashed. The reverse chains tightened. Its many stolen faces screamed beneath its skin. The slime moved toward its open mouth. Yes, he entered. The feast began. Far above, the woman in crimson armor stood before the Duke. She presented the broken spear with both hands. The Duke smiled warmly. Soldiers closed the doors behind her. The guildmaster watched from the balcony. The church waited outside. The knight reached for his sword. The mage began to sweat. The priest whispered a prayer. The relic pulsed. Black veins covered the woman's neck. She looked around at the smiling faces and finally understood. Sad. No one had gathered to honor her. They had gathered to carve her apart. Beneath the floor, the pale slime fragment watched through a crack. His body curved into the same cold smile. They all believed the relic was a treasure. They all believed the weak had been discarded. They all believed the feast belonged to them. None understood that the cup in their hands was filled with poison. None understood that far below, the weakest slime in the world was devouring a calamity. None understood that every scream, every betrayal, every greedy hand was preparing the road for his return. He had given them the relic. He had given them time. He had given them hope. Hope made despair deeper, and he intended to collect every drop. The calamity did not die quietly. It had swallowed kings. It had worn saints as masks. It had spent centuries believing the dungeon itself was merely a cage too weak to deserve its rage. Now it screamed inside a slime. The sound rolled through the lower chambers. Stone split. Underground rivers surged backward. Every monster within the dungeon fled upward in blind terror. The slime remained still. His body expanded across the chamber floor like a black tide. Within him, the calamity thrashed. It clawed at his core, bit into his soul, released stolen curses from 100 dead priests. Each curse bloomed like a diseased flower. The slime devoured them. He learned decay. He learned silence. He learned how to rot blessings. The calamity changed tactics. It poured memories into him. A king strangling his own son, a saint burning villages to protect her reputation, a hero selling refugees to demons, a queen kneeling before a monster in exchange for eternal beauty. The memories were meant to break him. They only confirmed what he already knew. Virtue was often jewelry worn by cowards. Power remained when jewelry fell away. Slime compressed the calamity deeper. The creature's many faces surfaced across his body. They begged. They cursed. They promised treasure. The slime ignored them. The final face belonged to a child, soft eyes, trembling lips. Please. The word entered his mind like a knife. He remembered saying it, on the city wall. To his father, to his mother, to the woman who had once slept beside him. Please, the weakest word in any language. The slime's body became perfectly still. Then the child's face sank into darkness. The calamity understood. There was nothing inside him to manipulate. No mercy, no shame, no hunger for approval. Only purpose, its resistance. The system spoke. Catastrophic essence assimilation underway. Multiple sovereign traits detected. Mass devouring acquired. Curse digestion acquired. Royal pressure acquired. Soul prison acquired. Composite flesh acquired. Calamity core exposed. The slime found it. A red crystal hidden beneath layers of stolen souls. He wrapped around it. The calamity gave one final roar. The slime crushed the core. Silence returned. For several breaths, nothing moved. Then black light burst through the chamber. The dungeon trembled from foundation to entrance. Every torch above went out. Every beast froze. Every human within the city felt a cold hand brush the back of the neck. The woman in crimson armor stopped before the Duke. The broken spear pulsed in her grip. The Duke's smile stiffened. The priest dropped to his knees. Far below, the slime rose. His body no longer looked soft. The surface resembled polished obsidian. A crown of tiny horns formed around his core, then vanished beneath false weakness. Dark wings appeared behind him, thin as smoke. They folded into nothing. Scale emerged, scaled barbed, then dissolved. The system announced the result. Calamity consumed. Bloodline purity increased. Dragon origin seal weakened. Sovereign evolution available. The slime did not accept. Not yet. He had reached another threshold. But thresholds were tools. Evolving in a dungeon would waste the shock. He wanted a throne before he wore a crown. He wanted witnesses before he revealed wings. He wanted enemies close enough to smell the fire. He turned toward the chamber wall. Behind it slept the dungeon heart. The calamity had guarded it, not from intruders. From itself, the slime struck once, stone vanished. On the wall floated a crystal larger than a house. Blue veins spread from it through the entire dungeon. Every tunnel, every trap, every monster nest, every hidden treasury. A heartbeat, slowly, like a god buried alive. System spoke. Dungeon core detected. Absorption possible. Warning. Complete consumption will collapse dungeon structure. The slime placed one tendril against the crystal. He did not consume it. He infected it. A strand of black essence entered the core. The blue light dimmed, then returned darker. The dungeon shuddered. One by one, every monster stopped fleeing. Their eyes turned black, their bodies lowered. The dungeon accepted a new master. Authority transferred, territory recognized. The slime felt everything. He could close corridors, move walls, raise traps, awaken sleeping beasts, grow crystals, direct mana, conceal entrances, create false treasure room, seal invaders in endless loops. A fortress did not need towers, it needed obedience. He began immediately. The upper tunnels collapsed behind false paths. Treasure chambers moved deeper. Weak monsters were gathered and bred. Strong monsters were separated by function. Poison creatures entered alchemy caverns. Armored beasts guarded bridges. Shadow predators nested inside walls. Corpse eaters were sent to clean battlefields. Crystal insects were taught to carry mana. The dungeon changed from a wild grave into an ordered machine. Every chamber gained purpose. Every creature gained a task. Those that obeyed were fed. Those that resisted became food. The process took no speeches, no banners, no laws. Only results. The slime divided himself. One fragment entered the dungeon heart. One remained in the lower throne chamber. Another traveled upward to watch the city. More fragments spread through hidden exits beneath forests and abandoned wells. Each carried his awareness. Each gathered information. Each could become a mouth. Within days, he knew the region better than its duke. He knew where tax wagons traveled, where smugglers buried weapons, where nobles kept mistresses, where priests stored forbidden books, where guild officers sold expedition routes, where starving families gathered outside city walls. He saw the structure beneath the city, gold above, hunger below, perfect. An empire required walls. It also required hands. His first servant came willingly. The priest from the failed expedition fled the duke's manor during the confusion. He carried no relic, no treasure, only terror. The woman in crimson armor had accused him of betrayal. The duke's guards had marked him for arrest. The church had already decided to silence him. He escaped through a drainage tunnel. The tunnel led exactly where the slime wanted. The priest crawled through filth until he reached a hidden chamber. The pale lesser slime waited at the center. The priest recognized it, his face drained of color. The slime did not move. The priest backed away. He remembered the dagger. The fire, the laughter, he remembered doing nothing. His knees struck stone. I did not hurt you. Silence, I tried to make them stop. A lie. Weak, automatic. The slime released a fragment of dragon pressure. The priest collapsed face first. His bones creaked. He began to sob. I was afraid. That was closer. The pressure eased. The priest raised his head. The slime's surface reflected his face, cowardly, sweating. Desperate. A voice entered his mind. Do you want to live? The priest nodded so violently his forehead struck the floor. Yes, then become useful. The slime opened a hidden path. The priest stared into the darkness. What do you want me to do? No answer came. Only a bundle of documents emerged from the wall. Guild accounts, church payments, lists of missing refugees, records of bribes, proof of the duke's illegal slave trade. The priest's hands trembled. He understood. The slime did not need a believer. It needed a mouth that humans would trust. By sunrise, the priest had returned to the city wearing torn robes and the expression of a survivor. He entered the poorest district. There, he began preaching. Not about salvation, about food. The first gathering received bread from hidden carts. The next received medicine. The next received protection from debt collectors. No one knew where the supplies came from. The priest said a nameless guardian beneath the earth had heard their suffering. The people laughed at first. Then their children stopped starving. Laughter became curiosity. Curiosity became gratitude. Gratitude became loyalty. The slime watched from drains and wells. He learned quickly. Faith was another form of hunger. Feed it, and it followed. He did not ask them to worship him. That would come later. For now he gave them what the duke had denied. Clean water, warm shelter, safe tunnels, work. The dungeon expanded beneath the poor district. Walls shifted, abandoned basements connected. Hidden chambers became workshops. Blacksmiths forged weapons from dungeon iron. Herbalists cultivated luminous moss. Hunters learned to harvest monster parts without dying. Widows sorted crystals. Orphans carried messages through tunnels too small for adults. No one was idle. No one begged. Those who worked ate. Those who betrayed vanished. Orders spread. The people called the underground network the Hollow Haven. The priest called it a miracle. The slime called it foundation. His second servant did not come willingly. She came hunting. The young assassin entered the lower tunnels through a smuggler's entrance. Her name was Saris. She wore gray cloth. No perfume. No metal jewelry. Her blades carried a poison that stopped the heart without leaving color in the veins. The duke had sent her to find whoever was stealing his tax shipments. She passed the first traps, avoided the second. Killed 3 shadow beasts, disabled a false wall, reached the inner gate. Slime observed every step, skilled, patient. Unsentimental, useful. He allowed her into a chamber filled with treasure. Gold covered the floor. Gemstones overflowed from broken chests. A dragon scale rested on a pedestal. Saris did not touch anything. She looked at the ceiling. Too easy, the slime approved. The floor vanished beneath her. She fell into darkness. Her hook caught stone. She swung, landed, rolled. Both blades. A black slime waited before her, small. Motionless, Saris stared, then she laughed once. So that is the joke. She threw a blade. It pierced the slime. Poison entered Hasbody. The system analyzed it before the weapon stopped moving. Saris drew another knife. The slime dissolved the first. The smile disappeared. Black tendrils rose behind her. She cut through 2. The third wrapped her wrist. The fourth took her ankle. The fifth touched her throat. She froze. The slime entered her shadow. Her own darkness climbed her body. She could not move. A voice entered her mind. Why does the duke want these tunnels? Saris clenched her teeth. No answer. Pressure tightened around her heart. Still no answer. The slime searched her blood, found an embedded curse. The loyalty brand. If she spoke against the Duke, her heart would rupture. The slime devoured the curse. Saris gasped. For the first time since childhood, the pain beneath her ribs disappeared. She stared at him. What did you do? Removed a chain. Her expression cracked. Not gratitude. Shock, then hatred. Not toward him. Toward the man who had branded her. The slime released her. She remained still. You could have killed me. Yes. Why did you not? You are worth more alive. Saris looked at the treasure. At the dissolved blade. At the darkness obeying him. Then she lowered her remaining weapon. What do you want? The Duke's throat. A slow smile appeared on her face. This one was not false. She knelt, not from worship, from agreement. Good enough. Saris became his knife above ground. The priest became his voice. The poor became his hands. The dungeon became his body. The system became his forge. He built without announcing himself. The hollow haven expanded beneath farms, mines, warehouses, ruined shrines. Each entrance served a purpose. Food entered through one, weapons through another, information through a third. Refugees disappeared from the Duke's records and reappeared as workers in hidden halls. The city above grew anxious. Tax income fell. The caravans vanished. Mercenaries changed allegiance. The poor stopped begging at noble gates. That frightened the nobles most. Hungry people could be controlled. Hopeful people could not. Meanwhile, the woman in crimson armor rose higher. The cursed spear made her stronger at first. She shattered training stones, defeated veteran knights, survived wounds that should have killed her. The Duke named her his champion. The guild celebrated her. Bards sang of the dragon slayer. She wore red silk, drank royal wine, sat beside nobles who once ignored her. The black veins reached her jaw. She covered them with powder. At night, she heard the dead healer scratching inside the walls. The knight became her guard captain. The mage became her court advisor. They smiled beside her. They also searched for ways to steal the relic. The priest's absence became an accusation. They blamed every misfortune on him. The shrinking taxes, the missing caravans, the unrest. The woman promised to drag him through the streets. The crowd cheered. The slime listened from beneath the palace fountain. He felt no anger. Her fantasy was ripening. He wanted it sweet. Deep in the dungeon, he finally accepted another evolution. The chamber sealed. The dungeon heart poured mana into him. The calamity core unfolded. The basilisk blood hardened. The dragon marrow ignited. The slime body expanded upward. Claws formed, real this time. It opened. Not smoke, not illusion. Black scales grew across a long serpentine frame. Golden cracks ran between them. A horned skull emerged from the shifting mass. His eyes opened, one black, one crimson. His ruined flame leaked between his teeth. The chamber walls melted. The system spoke. Sovereign evolution complete. Species changed. Abyssal dragon regent. Dragon form unlocked. Slime form retained. Adaptive body perfected. Territory amplification acquired. Bloodline command acquired. Living fortress authority acquired. He stretched his wings. The air collapsed beneath them. Every creature in the dungeon bowed. Every worker in the hollow haven felt the ground tremble. The priest stopped speaking mid-sermon. Saris looked toward the darkness and smiled. The dragon lowered his head. Then his body melted. Scales softened. His wings vanished. Horns sank inward. Moments later, a weak little slime sat upon a throne of black crystal. He had gained a dragon's body. He preferred the mask. Above, the woman raised the cursed spear before a roaring crowd. She believed the city belonged to her. The Duke believed she belonged to him. The guild believed the relic belonged to them. The church believed all of them would soon kneel. Beneath their feet, an empire breathed. Its roads were hidden. Its soldiers were fed. Its blades were sharpened. Its god wore the shape of prey. Slime watched this celebration through 1,000 eyes. His cold smile returned. Let them dance. The storm had already entered the city. The storm arrived at noon. No clouds gathered. No rain fell. The sun simply turned black. For one breath, the city remained silent. Then every bell began ringing at once, not by human hands. The iron tongues hammered inside their towers until the bronze cracked. Windows shattered. Horses screamed. Children dropped their food and stared upward. Across the darkened sky, red lines opened like wounds. Something moved behind them. Something enormous. Something hungry. The woman in crimson armor stood upon the palace balcony with the cursed spear raised above her head. Below, thousands had gathered to witness her coronation as the Duke's supreme champion. Banners covered the square. Wine flowed from silver fountains. Nobles wore jewels bright enough to blind the starving. The crowd had been cheering her name. Now no one spoke. A drop of black liquid fell from the sky. It struck a white marble statue. The stone screamed, not cracked. Screamed. A human mouth opened across the statue's face. The marble melted into gray flesh. The figure twisted. Its arms lengthened. Its fingers became hooked claws. It leaped into the crowd. The first victim lost his head before he understood the celebration had ended. Blood sprayed across silk banners. Panic exploded. People shoved one another. Nobles trampled servants. Soldiers drew swords and struck anyone blocking their escape. The transformed statue tore through bodies, feeding as it moved. More black rain began to fall. Every drop touched something. Stone became flesh. Wood grew teeth. Iron bent into insect legs. The city itself awakened in agony. Doors bit their owner. Wagons unfolded into skeletal beasts. Street lamps bent down and pulled screaming citizens into mouths filled with burning glass. The woman on the balcony gripped the spear. The relic pulsed with delight. A voice whispered inside her skull, "Your kingdom has come." She smiled. For one mad instant she believed it. The Duke seized her shoulder. "Stop this," she looked at him. His face was pale. His royal cloak had become wet with sweat. "You brought that weapon into my city." Her smile widened. "My city?" The Duke stared. "What?" She drove the spear through his stomach. The blade entered cleanly. His eyes widened. The crowd below screamed louder as blood poured across the balcony. The woman leaned close. "You kept calling me your champion." She twisted the weapon. "I was never yours." The Duke tried to speak. Only blood came out. She kicked him from the balcony. His body struck the square below. A transformed statue found him before his guards did. It tore open his chest and ate his heart while he was still alive. The woman raised the spear. Black lightning struck its tip. Power flooded her body. The cursed veins covering her skin burst with dark light. Her armor split. Scales grew along her shoulders. A horn pushed through her forehead. The crowd saw her changing and fell to their knees. Not in worship, in terror. The woman mistook it for devotion. "Look at me." Her voice shook the square. "I am the dragon heir." Behind her, the mage began to retreat. The knight noticed. His hand closed around the mage's collar. "Where are you going?" The mage's lips trembled. "We need to leave." The knight struck him. "You said the relic would make us rulers." "I was wrong." The woman turned. Her new eyes burned like coals. "It's wrong?" The mage dropped to his knees. "My lady, you called me chosen. You called this power divine." "It is." "You said no curse could touch me." The mage stared at the black veins covering her face. His silence answered. The woman lowered the spear. The tip entered his shoulder. He screamed, "Fix me, I cannot." The spear pushed deeper. "Fix me, I cannot." Her expression collapsed. The illusion cracked. For the first time she saw what she had become. Her fingers were too long. Her nails were black. Her teeth had sharpened. Something moved beneath the skin of her throat. The dead healer's voice whispered from the spear. "Beautiful." The woman screamed and tore the weapon from the mage. The knight drew his sword. "Not against the monsters. Against her. You were losing control." She stared at him. "You searched my bag." His face changed. "You knew? You wanted the relic. We all risked our lives. You did nothing. I protected you. You were waiting for weakness." The knight raised his shield. The woman laughed. The sound no longer resembled a human voice. Then they attacked each other. The crowd below watched its heroes turn into animals. The knight swung for her neck. She caught the blade with one hand. The steel cut into her palm. Black blood crawled up the sword. The knight released it too late. The blood reached his wrist. His skin swelled. His bones pushed outward. He fell screaming as his arm transformed into a nest of writhing serpents. The woman crushed his skull with the shaft of the spear. The mage tried to crawl away. She stepped on his spine. The bones broke beneath her heel. All around the square the city consumed itself. The church opened its gates to frightened citizens. And the priests demanded gold before allowing anyone inside. The rich entered, the poor remained outside. Minutes later, black rain touched the cathedral roof. Stone angels opened their eyes. They descended into the sanctuary. The locked doors kept the screams inside. The guild master ordered adventurers to defend the market district. Then he fled through a private tunnel with the treasury. His guards followed. Halfway underground, they killed him for the keys. Then they killed one another over the gold. The final survivor emerged from the tunnel carrying bags too heavy to run with. A mouth opened in the road beneath him. He vanished without a sound. Families barricaded their homes. Neighbors begged for shelter. Doors stayed closed. When monsters entered through chimneys, those trapped inside screamed for the same help they had refused. No help came. Hunger. Fear, greed. The city did not fall because of the black rain. The rain merely removed the mask. Beneath the streets, the hollow haven remained untouched. Black drops struck the poor district and slid away from invisible barriers. Living doors opened for refugees. Hidden stairs carried children underground. Workers distributed food. Blacksmiths handed out weapons. Healers treated wounds without demanding coin. There was fear. There was no chaos. Every person knew where to go. Every corridor had a guard. Every chamber had supplies. The priest stood before a gathered crowd. His hands trembled. His voice did not. "Stay below." A woman clutched her infant. "What is happening?" The priest looked toward the black ceiling. The city above is being judged. Deep within the throne chamber, the slime watched through the dungeon heart. He saw every death, every betrayal, every broken promise. He had expected disaster. He had not caused it. The cursed spear had been a key. The woman had carried it willingly. The relic had fed on ambition until the seal above the city weakened. Now the red wounds in the sky continued to widen. Beyond them, something vast pressed against the world. The system spoke. Dimensional rupture confirmed. Dragon grave resonance detected. Infernal sovereign approaching. Threat exceeds regional survival capacity. The slime remained motionless. A creature began to descend through the largest wound. First came its claws. Each was longer than a palace tower. Then came arms wrapped in chains. Then a head crowned with broken horns. Its skin resembled burned armor. Its mouth stretched from one side of its face to the other. Inside that mouth burned a red star. The air collapsed around it. Every monster created by the black rain stopped feeding. They turned toward the sky, then bowed. The woman on the palace balcony saw the descending sovereign. Her madness vanished. Her pride vanished. She felt the truth. The spear had never chosen her. It had used her. She was not an heir. She was a door. The infernal sovereign looked down. Its gaze found the relic. The woman's hands shook. A voice thundered across the city, "Bearer." She turned what was stolen. The spear tore itself from her grip. It ripped through her palms. She screamed and tried to hold it. The weapon dragged her from the balcony. She dangled above the square, clutching the shaft with ruined hands. "Mine," the sovereign pulled harder. Her shoulders dislocated. "Mine." The spear tore free. She fell. Her broken body struck the palace steps. The same crowd that once cheered her name trampled her while fleeing. Boots crushed her fingers. A merchant kicked her face. A noblewoman stepped on her throat. No one recognized the dragon heir. No one cared. The infernal sovereign caught the relic. Its broken spear melted into its palm. Its wounds closed. Its chains shattered. Its power burst outward. Half the palace vanished, not collapsed. It vanished. The shockwave crossed the city. Towers broke. Walls folded. People flew through the air like leaves. The outer districts became fire. The city guard formed a final line before the lower gate. Their commander shouted for courage. The sovereign exhaled. The soldiers became shadows burned into stone. Silence followed. Then the creature laughed. Sound reached beyond the city. Forests bent, rivers boiled. Animals tore themselves apart in panic. In the Hollow Haven, people fell to the ground. Even protected by the dungeon, they felt their souls shaking. Sarah stood beside the priest. Her blades were drawn. For once, she looked uncertain. "Can he stop that?" The priest stared toward the throne chamber. "He knew this was coming. That was not my question." The dungeon walls pulsed. A voice entered every mind within the haven. "Remain here. Nothing more. No promise." No comfort. The people obeyed. Above, the infernal sovereign raised one hand. A sphere of red flame formed over the city. It grew, house by house, street by street. The remaining nobles crawled from the palace ruins. They saw the fire and began praying to every god they remembered. The church survivors dragged out relics. The guild survivors offered gold. A woman in crimson armor pulled herself from beneath the dead. Her jaw hung crooked. Her legs were broken. She looked at the sky and began to sob. "I did everything." No one answered. "I was chosen." The sovereign did not look at her. "I deserve this power." The flame above the city continued to grow. The woman dragged herself across blood-soaked stone. Then she saw a tiny shape in the center of the ruined square. The slime, small, black. Motionless, her remaining eye widened. Memory returned. The dungeon, the dagger, the fire. The creature she had called ugly. The weak thing she had left beneath her boot. "You." The slime looked at her. The woman's lips trembled. The infernal flame fell. The sky became red. Slime rose. His tiny body stretched upward. Black flesh became scales. The square split beneath him. Wings erupted across the city. One covered the palace ruins. The other blotted out the burning sky. A colossal dragon stood where the slime had been. Obsidian armor covered his body. Golden cracks blazed between the scales. His horns pierced the clouds. His eyes opened. One black, one crimson. The falling flame struck his raised claw. He closed his fingers. The sphere shattered. Fire spread across the heavens like broken glass. Then vanished. The city became silent. The infernal sovereign stopped laughing. The woman stopped breathing. Every surviving human stared upward. The weak slime was gone. The dragon god stood above them. The sovereign roared, "Name yourself." The dragon did not answer. The sovereign hurled chains forged from infernal law. They wrapped around the dragon's neck, his wings, his legs. The same chains had bound armies. The same chains had dragged celestial beasts into hell. The dragon looked down at them. Ruined flame appeared between his scales. The chains melted. The sovereign stepped back. Fear entered its burning eyes. The dragon moved. No spell, no warning. One moment he stood above the square. To the next, his claw rested against the sovereign's chest. The creature looked down. The claw had not pierced its armor. It had passed through existence itself. The dragon closed his hand around the red star inside the sovereign's body. The infernal ruler screamed. Sound split the remaining towers. The dragon pulled. The red star came free. The sovereign's body collapsed. Its enormous form folded inward. Muscle became ash. The armor became dust. Broken horns fell through empty air. The creature that had erased armies vanished before reaching the ground. One strike, nothing remained. The dragon held the burning star between two claws and swallowed it. The system spoke. Infernal sovereign core consumed. Ruined flame ascended. Divine predator authority acquired. Dragon god evolution conditions fulfilled. The survivors heard none of it. They heard only their own heartbeats. The priest fell to his knees. Cirrus lowered her blades. The workers of the Hollow Haven stared through openings in the earth. The nobles crawled backward. The guild members dropped their weapons. The church survivors pressed their faces against the blood-soaked ground. The woman in crimson armor looked up at the being she had once stabbed for amusement. Her body began to shake, not from pain, from understanding. Every insult returned, every laugh, every twist of the dagger, every moment of contempt. The dragon lowered his head, his face filled the ruined square. His breath rolled across the survivors like heat from an open furnace. The woman tried to speak, only a broken whimper came out. The dragon's vast body began to melt. Wings folded into darkness, horns dissolved. Scales softened, the god vanished. A small black slime remained before her. The disguise was worse. The dragon had been terrifying. The slime was personal. The slime moved closer. The woman dragged herself backward. Her ruined legs left a trail of blood. No, the slime continued. No, her voice cracked. Behind her, the surviving nobles began crawling away. The slime released a fragment of pressure. Every person in the square slammed against the ground. Bones cracked. Faces struck stone. No one could raise a head. No one could look away. The weak creature they had ignored sat above them. The city burned around his throne of corpses. The woman wept. The slime smiled, cold, patient, victorious. The face slapping had ended. The judgment had not begun. The woman in crimson armor tried to crawl. Her fingers slipped through blood. One hand had been torn open by the cursed spear. The other shook too violently to support her weight. Still she crawled. Pride had abandoned her. Madness had abandoned her. Only the animal desire to live remained. The slime followed. Slowly, softly, each movement made almost no sound. That silence terrified her more than the dragon's roar. Around the ruined square, the survivors remained crushed beneath his pressure. Nobles, guild officers, merchants, soldiers, they lay face down among ashes and severed limbs. Some whispered prayers. Some promised gold. Some called for mothers who had died decades ago. None dared raise their heads. The woman reached the broken palace steps. Her nails scraped stone. She pulled herself upward. Slime stopped behind her. A black tendril wrapped around her ankle. She screamed. The tendril did not pull, it merely rested there, a reminder. She turned. Tears carved pale paths through the blood and powder on her face. I did not know. The slime's surface reflected her ruined expression. She stared into it. For a moment she saw herself as she had been in the dungeon. Beautiful. Strong, laughing, the dagger in her hand. His body pinned beneath it. Ugly little thing. Her own voice returned from memory. Clear, cruel. The slime repeated the words inside her mind. Ugly little thing. She flinched as though struck. I was afraid. The slime moved closer. She shook her head. No, I was not afraid then. Honesty came only after hope had died. I was arrogant. The tendril tightened slightly. Bones shifted beneath her skin. She gasped. I thought you were nothing. Another memory entered the square. The knight's laughter. Not worth the effort. The dead knight's crushed body lay near the balcony ruins. His skull had split beneath her heel. She looked toward him. And back at the slime. I was wrong, yes. The answer entered every survivor's mind. Simple. Cold, final. The woman began to sob. I can serve you. The slime did not move. I know the guild. Silence. I know the duke's allies. Silence. I know where the nobles hide their wealth. A faint smile curved across his body. She mistook it for interest. Desperation brightened her remaining eye. I can give you everything. The slime showed her a memory. The dungeon altar. The dead dragon. The adventurers arguing over treasure. The woman wrapping the cursed spear in cloth. Mine. Her own voice, mine. The vision vanished. The slime's reply came softly. Everything you touched became mine before you understood you had lost it. The face collapsed. She reached for him, not to attack. To cling, to hold the only power left in the world. A tendril pierced her palm and pinned it to the step. She screamed. The slime climbed onto the ruined throne platform. Black crystal rose beneath him. It shaped itself into a low throne, small enough for his current body, large enough to humiliate everyone watching. Silver table emerged from the rubble. Upon it appeared a crystal glass filled with dark red wine. The slime formed a human hand from his body. Pale, elegant, cold. It lifted the glass. The survivors stared. The woman stared hardest. The smallest creature in the square sat upon the remnants of the duke's throne and drank while the city burned. No rush, no anger. No pleasure visible beyond that thin, terrible smile. The priest from the expedition remained near the edge of the square. He had come from the Hollow Haven after the infernal sovereign died. Unlike the others, he was permitted to stand. Sarah stood beside him with both blades lowered. Behind them waited workers. Blacksmiths, healers, refugees. The people the city had starved. They looked upon the ruined nobles without pity. A merchant recognized one of the women he had driven from her home. He called her name. She did not answer. A guild officer saw an orphan he had once beaten for stealing bread. He begged the child for help. The child stared through him. The slime drank again. Then he released the nobles from the crushing pressure. They could move. Barely. They immediately crawled toward him. The first was an old lord whose estates had been built on slave labor. He dragged himself over broken glass. My lord. The slime looked at him. The old man pressed his forehead to the ground. My family has served the dragon bloodline for generations. A lie. The system tasted it. The slime said nothing. The old lord continued. We always honored ancient power. Another lie. We were deceived by the duke. A weaker lie. We had no choice. The most common lie. The slime extended a tendril toward him. The lord smiled through tears. He believed he had been chosen. The tendril entered his mouth. His smile vanished. The slime searched his memories. Burned villages, confiscated grain, children sold to pay taxes. Women dragged from homes, men hanged for resisting. The lord had watched from horseback. He had complained only when blood stained his boots. The tendril withdrew. The slime repeated the lord's own words from one such memory. Starvation encourages discipline. The old man stopped breathing for a moment. The crowd heard it. To every syllable, his own voice, his own contempt. The slime looked toward the hungry survivors from the outer district. Then back at the lord. Discipline him. They did. No swords, no magic. Only hands. The old lord screamed as those he had starved dragged him from the square. His pleas faded into the burning streets. Another noble crawled forward, then another. Each offered wealth, titles, secrets, daughters, sons, loyalty. The slime listened. Then he opened the dungeon heart beneath the square. Hidden records rose from the ground. Ledgers, contracts, slave lists, bribery accounts, murder orders. Every secret they offered was already his. Every hidden vault had already been emptied. Every mercenary they promised had already changed allegiance. Their value was gone. They had waited too long to become useful. Slime lifted the wineglass. A black flame appeared above his palm. One by one, the contracts ignited. The nobles watched their power burn. The flames did not consume the paper alone. Across the region, seals broke. Vault doors opened. Hidden treasures vanished into the dungeon. Estate guards received messages bearing their master's signatures. Servants unlocked gates. Prisoners walked free. The nobles felt their world disappear without leaving the square. One began laughing. Another tore at his own face. A third tried to run. Terrace threw a blade. It pinned his shadow to the ground. His body froze. Slime glanced at her. She bowed once. No smile. No need. The church survivors came next. Their robes were torn. Their sacred symbols blackened. The highest priest crawled ahead of them. He held a golden icon against his chest. Divine One. The slime's crimson eye opened within his body. The priest lowered his gaze. We did not recognize your sacred nature. The slime answered. You recognized suffering. You sold entry to your sanctuary. The priest's lips trembled. We had limited space. The slime showed the square what happened inside the cathedral. The wealthy entering with gold. The poor pounding on locked doors. Priests counting coins while children screamed outside. Then the stone angels descending, claws tearing through silk and flesh. The vision ended. The priest began to cry. We were tested. You failed before the test began. The golden icon in his hands melted. Liquid metal covered his fingers. He shrieked. The slime watched calmly. The priest tore at the metal. It crawled higher. Across his wrists, his arms, his throat. It formed the shape of a collar. The same kind once placed around debt slaves beneath church estates. The priest understood. The slime looked toward the former slaves among the Hollow Haven. The priest saw them. Some bore scars from sacred whips. Some had lost fingers in church mines. Some had children who never returned from temple service. He began reciting prayers. The slime interrupted with the priest's own voice from the past. The gods do not hear property. The former slaves stepped forward. The priest's prayers became screams. The slime drank. The guild members were next. Their master was dead. Their champions were dead. Their hall had become a nest of flesh. Still they spoke of rank, contracts, tradition. The slime listened until they had exhausted every excuse. Then he opened the ground. The bodies of abandoned adventurers rose from the dungeon below. Not alive, not undead, memories given shape. Men and women left behind so survivors could steal credit. Healers used as bait. Porters locked outside safe rooms. Young recruits sent ahead to trigger traps. The guild members saw the dead surround them. A warrior recognized his former partner. A mage recognized her apprentice. A captain saw his own brother. The dead did not attack. They only repeated final words. Help me, do not leave me. He promised. The guild members covered their ears. The voices came from within. The slime said nothing. Guilt did the work for him. Some confessed. Some attacked one another. Some begged the dead for forgiveness. The dead gave none. The woman in crimson armor watched from the palace steps. Her body had grown cold. The curse was leaving her. Not healing. Leaving without the relic's power, every wound returned at once. Her crushed legs, her torn hands, her broken jaw. The mutated flesh began to rot. She could smell herself dying. She dragged her pinned hand against the tendril until skin tore. Then she crawled toward the throne again. Please. The slime turned his gaze upon her. She froze. The word echoed through him. Please, reign on the city wall. Human body broken on the rocks below. His father watching, his mother hiding her face. His brother holding the woman he loved. Please. No one came. The slime set down the wineglass. The square became silent. He changed. Not into the dragon. Into the man he had once been. A human figure rose from black liquid. Tall, pale, dressed in a dark coat from his previous life. The face was the face buried by betrayal. The woman stared. She did not know him. That made the moment sweeter. He descended from the throne. Each step rang against the broken stone. The slime body had been frightening. The dragon body had been divine. The human body carried memory. He stopped before her. She looked up. Who are you? His smile deepened. His name entered her mind. Not spoken aloud, remembered. She had heard it at noble banquets. The disgraced heir. The man betrayed by his brother. The fool who died in the abyss. The family scandal whispered about after wine. Her eye widened. He crouched. She tried to retreat. His hand closed around her chin. Gently, almost tenderly, she began shaking harder. You died. He looked into her remaining eye. So did the slime beneath your dagger. Understanding arrived slowly. And completely, she saw the connection, the rebirth, the patience, the relic, the disaster. Every road had been built beneath her feet. Every triumph had been bait. Every applause had carried her closer to ruin. She began to laugh. A broken sound. You planned everything. No. The answer surprised her. I planned enough. Human greed completed the rest. She released her chin. She collapsed. I am sorry. He looked toward the dead healer. The crushed knight, the ruined mage, the burned city. And back at her. No, you are afraid, she wept. I can change. You already did. His gaze passed over the scales rotting along her neck. She covered them. Shame arrived too late. He returned to the throne. His human form dissolved back into the small black slime. The woman reached after him. Do not leave me. He remembered his brother's voice. Everything you own belongs to me now. The slime lifted the wineglass one final time. He repeated the words. Everything you own belongs to me now. See her title, her power, her city. Her hope, her death, all his. The ground beneath her opened, not wide, just enough. Pale hands emerged from the darkness. The adventurers abandoned in the dungeon. The healer she had murdered. The victims sacrificed for her glory. They took hold of her arms, her ruined legs. Her hair, she screamed and clawed at the stone. Mercy, the slime watched. He had once believed mercy revealed goodness. Now he understood. Mercy without judgment was permission. He gave none. The hands pulled. Her nails broke. Her fingers bled. She screamed his name despite never having earned the right to know it. The darkness swallowed her slowly. Her final sight was the weak slime she had mocked sitting upon a throne. Her final sound was the laughter of the crowd she once commanded. Then the ground closed. The remaining enemies were taken next, some into prisons, some into mines, some into chambers where their own memories judged them without end. None received quick deaths. Quick deaths belonged to the innocent. The city burned until night, then the dungeon moved. Black walls rose beneath the ruins. Safe roads unfolded. Water flowed through new channels. The Hollow Haven opened its gates. Those who had worked entered first. Those who had protected others received homes. Those who had preyed on the weak found no place inside. By dawn, a new fortress stood where the old city had fallen. No banners carried a noble crest, no temples sold salvation, no guild sold heroism. At the highest point rested a throne of black crystal. The slime sat upon it. Sarah stood in the shadows to his right. The priest stood below, no longer preaching miracles, only recording truth. Workers filled the streets. Children ate without stealing. Guards watched the walls. Deep beneath them, monsters bowed. Far above, the red wounds in the sky sealed one by one. The system spoke. Territories secured. Enemies judged. Dragon god evolution available. The slime looked across his empire. He could evolve. He could reveal wings. He could demand worship. He chose neither. Power did not require spectacle. Fear did not require a roar. The strongest throne was the one enemies failed to see until they were already kneeling before it. His small body curved into a cold smile. Once they had crushed him because he was weak. Then they begged him because he was strong. Neither act surprised him. People rarely changed. Only the direction of their knees did. The slime lifted his glass toward the sunrise. His final thought passed through the silent fortress like a blade. Karma was never a god. It was merely patience wearing my face.